Dear readers and listeners, we are thrilled to be bringing you the Magic School Bus books in this exciting read-along format. You may notice that some parts of the text might be read in a slightly different order, but we assure you that all of the story and facts are there. We did this because this order made the most sense for listeners. We want the listening experience to be as rich as the reading experience. Also, please don't forget to listen to the student reports at the end of the recording that will be read by Ms. Frizzle herself. Thanks for listening and reading. We hope you enjoy this Magic School Bus adventure. Best wishes, Bruce Deegan and Joanna Cole.
Scholastic Audio presents The Magic School Bus, Human Evolution. Written by Joanna Cole. Illustrated by Bruce Deegan. Read by Cassandra Morris. With Polly Adams as Ms. Frizzle.
Meet my cousin Bo. She's visiting from China.
Hi.
Hi, Bo.
Welcome to our class. Hi.
你好.
Have you met our teacher, Ms. Frizzle? Have you seen her strange dresses and her strange shoes? Have you noticed her weird school bus? If you have, you probably know that anything can happen in Ms. Frizzle's class. And it usually does.
We go on wacky class trips.
What do you mean, wacky?
Stick around, Bo. You'll see. Her dress is amazing.
Check out her shoes.
Even her earrings are nuts.
Today, we were making family trees. Wanda's was the longest. Ralphie's was the funniest. Arnold's was the shortest.
That's a short tree, Arnold.
Don't you know about your family?
I wish I found more of my ancestors,
said Arnold. Ms. Frizzle got that funny look in her eye.
That wish just might come true, Arnold.
She said,
To the bus, kids. We'll see the family tree of the whole human race.
A trip? I didn't mean it. I take it back.
No backsies, Arnold. As soon as we got on the bus, a new road appeared behind our school. That was weird enough. But then, Ms. Frizzle started to drive down the road backward.
We're going back 3.5 billion years.
Are we there yet?
We're backing up in time, kids.
She said,
We'll be the first class to see human evolution. Get ready to meet our very first ancestors. Arnold, this is just what you wanted.
Not exactly.
3.5 billion years ago.
The first life began in the sea.
Dorothy Ann read from her book.
The first living things were tiny cells.
The bus doors opened and we tumbled out underwater. Suddenly, we were wearing strange costumes. We told you our class trips were weird.
We're getting small. We're wearing cell costumes.
We're seeing the start of evolution, children. Let's be cells.
This never happens at my school.
You get used to it.
Let's get a close look at this cell,
called the Frizz. It just looked like a blob to us. But Ms. Frizzle said,
That simple cell is the ancestor of all living things. All plants and animals evolved from cells like these.
Even dinosaurs?
Even people?
Even poison ivy?
You betcha.
Where's the bus?
Notice the stuff inside the cell,
said the Frizz.
It's the code of life, also known as DNA.
We were noticing the DNA when all of a sudden Tim exclaimed,
Look at that cell! It's splitting in half.
Yelped Ralphie.
Now there are 2 cells.
The cell made a copy of itself.
The first cell passed the code of life to the new cell. Come along, class.
The Frizz said calmly.
We will now go forward in time.
We zoomed ahead thousands of millions of years to 2 billion years ago. In all that time, simple cells were the only form of life.
In some cells, there were little tweaks to the DNA. These tweaks made changes to the cells.
Look at all the different kinds. But all are still simple cells. So many cells, and not one cell phone.
This one has a tail. It can swim. This one is bigger than the others. The big ones eat the little ones.
1.5 billion years ago. Big cells had been eating little cells for a long time. Sometimes when a little cell was eaten, it was not digested. Instead, it became a working part of the big cell. Ms. Frizzle said the big cell was now a complex cell. We looked like complex cells now, too.
This is our next ancestor, a complex cell.
Howdy.
Little cell becomes a working part of big cell.
I hope those big cells don't try to eat us.
I knew I should have stayed home today.
Some people never change.
650 million years ago, we traveled forward millions of years and found our next ancestor.
Many cells have clumped together to make a new animal,
said our teacher.
It's a tiny sponge. It's the first animal to have many cells.
Our costumes make us look like sponges.
Except sponges don't have mouths.
How do they eat?
They sift bits of food from the water.
I just lost my appetite.
630 million years ago.
Follow the Frizz, everyone!
Yelled Ralphie. We went forward many millions of years. There had been many changes in DNA over the years. A new animal had evolved. A jellyfish. It had tentacles. Guess what? We did too. I feel so slimy.
Don't dawdle, children. We have almost 630 million years to go.
600 million years ago. Going forward again, we met a tiny sea worm.
The sea worm is the first animal with the beginning of a backbone,
said the Frizz.
Isn't it wonderful, Arnold?
She added.
We're back when worms ruled the world.
We're worms? I'm going to chop this branch off my family tree.
450 million years ago. Millions of years went by, and life kept changing. There were still sea worms, but jawless fish had evolved too. These fish had skeletons, and they ate by sucking gross stuff from the ocean floor. We said, yuck. But the Frizz said this was a big step toward human beings.
You'll never believe what happened to fish over the next 65 million years.
Who would believe what happens to us on class trips?
$420 million years ago. We went forward to a time when there were ray-finned fish. The thin bones in their fins spread out like rays. That made the fish good at swimming. These fish also had jaws and sharp teeth. That made them good at eating.
Bo! Look at that fish swim!
Look at it bite!
We're finally making a splash in the world.
385 million years ago. The next fish we saw was a lobe-finned fish. We weren't in the deep sea anymore. The water around us was shallow, and the bottom was covered with thick seaweed. These new fish used their fins to push through the weeds. Thank goodness they had strong fin bones.
Goodbye, fishies.
Wish we could stay.
But we're evolving.
Swim this way, class.
$375 million years ago. 10 million years later, life had changed a lot, which meant animals' DNA had changed a lot too. We saw fish with legs. They still had gills like fish, but they had nostrils and lungs too.
Land ho!
At last!
We are half fish, half land animal.
The fish with legs couldn't walk all the way onto the land, but they could crawl and prop themselves up on their front legs. They even had wrists to help with that. Their legs were stronger than ever.
Look at all the stuff to eat.
We could have crunchy scorpions and juicy centipedes. I think I'll save room for dessert.
Crawl this way, class.
$340 million years ago. Our next ancestors were the first animals that could really walk on land. They were amphibians.
I'm an amphibian.
I'm an amphibian. I'm a Dorothy amphibian.
They weren't completely land animals. They needed a watery place to lay eggs. The eggs didn't have shells, so they would dry out and die if they were on land.
The eggs and babies need to grow in water.
Look, prehistoric tadpoles.
$295 million years ago. Early reptiles. As we went forward in time, there were still amphibians. But our next ancestor was a new kind of animal, a reptile. Reptile eggs had a waterproof shell to keep moisture in. Now the babies could hatch on land.
We can live on land. Like in houses?
That comes later.
Much later.
260 million years ago. Late reptiles. The reptile's skin was tough and scaly. It kept moisture in too. Their lungs could take in more oxygen, and they had bigger brains that helped them use strategies for hunting.
Class, these ancestors are true land animals.
The Frizz shouted. Hooray! We're taking the dino path! That's a good thing?
Walk this way, kids.
$225 million years ago. To our surprise, we soon saw all kinds of dinosaurs. The dinosaurs had evolved from one branch of reptiles. Our ancestors had evolved from another. Our next ancestor was something completely new. Furry, warm-blooded animals whose babies drank their mother's milk. They were mammals.
Human beings are mammals too. I remember when I was a human being.
Why do we have to stay down here in the dark?
So the dinosaurs don't eat us.
65 million years ago. Most mammals were little creatures. By day, they hid from the dinosaurs. At night, they came out to hunt for food. Some scurried under bushes. Others climbed trees and hid in the leaves.
Yuck!
Then the dinosaurs went extinct. But mammals survived.
No more dinos.
This is our big chance. Let's evolve. $55 million years ago. Only 10 million years later, our next ancestors had evolved in tropical forests. They were primates. They were different from the earliest mammals. Like humans, their eyes faced front, not to the sides. That helped them judge distances, so they didn't miss a branch and fall when they climbed trees.
Look, they're eating fruit and nuts. At least it's not more bugs.
That's dessert.
Primates have a great sense of touch.
That helps them feel the branches.
So they can grab them better.
Get a grip.
Leap this way, class.
"25 million years ago. The evolution of primates that led to humans happened in Africa. The primates split into branches. The monkeys went one way, the apes went another.
Look at my tail.
15 million years ago. The apes were bigger and heavier than monkeys, and they didn't have tails. Their brains were bigger.
No tail for me.
Apes can stand and walk, but only for a short time.
Mostly, they go on all fours. Apes have long arms for reaching.
8 million years ago. Then the ape line split. Some lines led to other kinds of apes. Did we follow any of those? No. We continued along the way to becoming humans.
Don't go that way.
Or you'll end up with the chimps. 5 million years ago. By 5 million years ago, amazing new animals had evolved. Ms. Frizzle called them hominins. They were still good at climbing like apes, but their feet, legs, and hips had changed. They could walk upright, so their hands were free to do things.
Are we apes or humans?
A little of both.
We can work with our hands.
We can carry things.
Not this many things.
Remember, climb trees to escape danger.
Thanks for the reminder, Miss Frizzle.
$1.9 million years ago. For millions of years, DNA kept changing, and more primates evolved in Africa. Some of them became more and more like people of today. We joined one of these new groups. They make stone tools.
They use teamwork to hunt. Their legs are longer so they can walk and run faster.
They can use fire and cook food.
Just like the cookouts we'll have in a couple of million years.
Around 160,000 years ago, Homo sapiens evolved. They were human beings. They could talk. They could think. They could learn. Just like you and me. We are all Homo sapiens.
Hello.
We Homo sapiens were the first of our ancestors to do all these things.
Tens of thousands of years ago, small bands of humans left Africa. They traveled to new places and made new homes there. In the new places, human bodies evolved in different ways. But Ms. Frizzle said these changes are small. In all the important ways, our bodies and minds are alike. We had not seen our school bus for almost the entire trip. Now, surprise! It showed up. We hopped on and started traveling.
Same old bus.
It hasn't changed a bit.
All aboard, class!
As the years went by, humans spread all over the world. They created different cultures in the different places they settled down. Ms. Frizzle said,
We may speak different languages, eat different food, make different art, and have different religions. But we are all human beings with the same family tree.
Ms. Frizzle kept her foot on the gas pedal, And we didn't stop anywhere else. We waved goodbye to people all over the world and headed back to school.
Goodbye.
Adiosas.
Ciao.
Sayonara.
Adieu.
Ta-ta.
Do pobачення.
Aloha.
Adios.
톡 시작해. Hasta luego.
Time to line up and go in, class.
Did we miss recess?
Back in the classroom, we all worked together to make a terrific human family tree.
Look at all our ancestors. Aren't you proud, Arnold?
It took all those ancestors just to make me.
And me.
And me.
And me. And all of us. After that trip, we knew the story of our species and where we came from. The next question was, where are we going? We didn't know the answer, because with Ms. Frizzle for a teacher, it's always a surprise.
My brother's class went to the museum.
Our class is different.
Very different.
Important school rules. Number 1. Classes do not have permission to go back in time. Rule broken on page 11. Number 2. Class guinea pigs may not speak during school hours. Note bad behavior on page 9. Number 3. Simple cells are not allowed to talk at any time. See pages 13 through 14. Number 4. Students may never climb trees without a parent or guardian's consent. See pages 32 through 34 and 37. Number 5. Teachers are not authorized to cook meat over an open fire. See page 39. Number 6. On Mondays through Fridays, students may not travel around the world. See pages 44 through 45.
I've never heard of these rules.
I don't think Miss Frizzle has either.
Bo has to leave now. She's going home. Sai GN, everyone. Bye.
Bye, Bo.
It feels like we just got to know you.
It feels like we've known you for ages.
Class, please take your seats. Before we go home, you all did such a great job on your reports that I'm going to read them out loud. Please go back and open your books to page 8. We'll start with What is a Family Tree by Phoebe. A family tree is a chart that shows a person's ancestors and descendants. And next, 2 words from Dorothy Ann. An ancestor is a relative that comes before you in time. A descendant is a relative that comes after you. And now on page 9, How Old is the Earth by Alex. Scientists have found out that the Earth is very, 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 very old. Turn to page 10. What is evolution by Phoebe? Evolution is change over time. All living things evolved or developed from earlier life forms. This happened very, very slowly. And next, How Do We Know Evolution is True by Tim. One way is by studying fossils, the remains of living things from long ago. Fossils show how one kind of animal or plant changed as time went on. Now, please turn to page 12. What are cells? By Wanda. Cells are tiny living things. They are so small we need a microscope to see them. Inside the cells are parts that work together to keep the cell alive and healthy. Our next report is on page 14. What is the Code of Life? By Carlos. Inside every cell, there is a code made of chemicals. The code is like a recipe. It tells the cell how to grow and how to make more of itself. Let's turn to page 16. A Fabulous New Cell by Tim. The old simple cell has only a few parts. The complex cell has many parts. And also on page 16, All Human Cells Are Complex by Phoebe. This new cell is the first step to more complex life forms, like us. Every cell in the human body has many parts. And now on page 18, How Humans Are Like Sponges by Arnold. Sponges have many cells. Humans do too. How we are different. A sponge has about a dozen different kinds of cells. A human has 200 different kinds of cells. Now, on page 19, How Humans Are Like Jellyfish by Wanda. Jellyfish have many kinds of cells. The cells are organized into parts that do different jobs. Human cells are like that too. How we are different. We have trillions more cells than jellyfish. We have a brain and a backbone. Jellyfish do not. Please turn to page 24. What were the benefits of going on land? By Molly. There was a lot of food just waiting to be eaten. There were no predators yet, so it was safer to be on land than to be in water. Now, on page 32, What are primates? By Phil. Primates are mammals that have eyes that face forward, grasping hands and usually grasping feet, nails on fingers and toes instead of claws, bigger brains than other animals of the same size. Next, on page 40, Modern Humans Have Amazing Brains with Many Parts by Keisha. That means we have language, make art, solve hard problems, invent incredible things. And also on page 40, We Evolved in Africa by Rachel. People used to think that the first modern humans arose in Europe about 45,000 years ago. But now, scientists have found evidence showing that modern humans lived in Africa long before that. And now, on page 41, Why Did Dark Skin Evolve in Africa? By Tim. African sun is very strong. Dark color helps protect skin from damage. And finally, on page 46, What Happened to All the Other Human-Like Primates? By Dorothy Ann. They all went extinct. We are the only ones left.
This is Cassandra Morris. We hope that you have enjoyed this production of The Magic School Bus, Human Evolution. This program was produced and directed by Cheryl Smith. Executive producer, Paul R. Gagney. Original music by Charlie Roth. Editing and sound design by Beat Street, New York City. Text copyright 2021 by Joanna Cole. Illustration copyright 2021 by Bruce Deegan. Production copyright 2021 by Scholastic Inc. All rights reserved.